Tonight, opposition New Patriotic Party incurs the wrath of former MP for Dom Kobenya Adwoa Safo after the party postponed her appearance before its disciplinary committee, which she only found out after showing up at the party's headquarters earlier today.
The disciplinary committee alone, the whole NPP party, and so if there's a cocaine saga, everything might come to a standstill because I would take some of the media space. Probably, maybe they think I'm that popular, but I don't know.
Well, the party's defense, there are more important issues to deal with at the moment rather than summoning Sarah Adwoa Safo.
It's not going to be a discussion on whether or not Honorable Adwoa Safo is going to appear before a disciplinary committee or not. But however, what the party is going to discuss is the running issue with respect to the alleged drug trafficking in our country.
We speak to the party plus a political scientist here on the impact of this on the party. On Top Story, brought to you always by Telecel, connecting energies and holy insecticide spray and coil. Enjoy a holy sleep. Well, the seeming bad blood between former MP for Dom Kobenya, Sarah Adwoa Safo, and the hierarchy of the New Patriotic Party does not seem to be dying down anytime soon after Adwoa Safo showed up at the party's headquarters earlier today for a scheduled disciplinary committee appearance, only to be informed it had been postponed indefinitely. Now, this is despite the fact that the party hierarchy knew about this 24 hours earlier. Now, the visibly disappointed Adwoa Safo expressed her shock at the MPP's decision to suspend their meeting on her blind side. We'll hear from her later, but how did we get to where we are today? You will recall that the former Dom Kobenya MP, Sarah Adwoa Safo, appeared on Pulse on the Joy News channel and alleged that the party's committee set up to investigate the party's abysmal performance in the 2024 general elections has been set up to discredit the party's 2024 flag bearer, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Listen to her in that particular interview describe the committee as bogus.
So I'm telling you, we are the cause of our own loss.
Have you appeared before the Professor Michael Quay's committee? You have stories to tell.
It's a very bogus committee.
Why do you say so?
Why? And you know, a committee that is put together, and it's an intentional committee put together just to make sure that we find certain facts and push a particular candidate away from the candidacy so that we can bring our own. You call that a credible fact-finding committee?
Well, Sarah Adwoa Safo took on the MPP for the choice of Professor Mike Okwe as chairman of the committee. Listen to her in that particular interview.
If Professor Michael Quay thinks he has integrity, thinks that he is credible, I want the first page of his fact-finding report. Why my son Michael Quay Jr. lost Domeko Abenyasi. He should give us a detailed report on that. I'm not attacking anybody. I am attacking the chair of it. And couldn't we have found anybody in the party to chair?
Because he's conflicted.
Exactly. Why do you do that?
Well, so that is, part of the interactions that she had on the Pulse that day she appeared on the show. Among several other things, Sarah Adwoa Safo also made her point about an earlier, notice the party had issued for party members to desist discussing party matters in the public. And she gave a direct response in that particular interview to say that her disregard for that directive for members not to discuss their grievances in the media is due to the defamation she as a person has suffered from the party and not because she is discussing party issues. But well, that is how the party then summoned her to appear before the disciplinary committee of the party, because she had gone contrary to what the party had directed members to do. But when she appeared before, the committee, when she went to the headquarters of the party today, she was told that the hearing will no longer come off today. and visibly disappointed Sarah Adwoa Safo questioned how the party could serve her a letter of sermons on Sunday, hinting that it is part of the grand scheme to further humiliate her.
I'm prepared for a committee hearing, and I come and they say the committee is not sitting. So I just pack my bag and just come out. But I think that as a party we ought to be a bit serious about these things, because as a lawyer, when a client is referred to a disciplinary committee, the presumption at law is that you've done something untoward, and you're going to be disciplined. That is exactly what a disciplinary committee hearing is for. So why ridicule me in public and come here and tell me that the committee is not even sitting? The message you send to the whole of Ghana is that I've done something untoward and I'm coming here to be disciplined. A senior member of this party, a former deputy majority leader, a former cabinet minister, a former minister of state, 3-term member of parliament, and this is how I'm ridiculed. Come and there's nobody there to sit because what, the case is bogus or there's no finding of anything. So I thought that there was a better way of handling this matter.
You are disappointed?
They ought to be disappointed. I'm just appearing because I'm a law-abiding citizen. I know the Constitution inside out, both of our nation and that of the party. And even if you check the letter that they wrote to me, the sections in our party constitution that they were quoting, go and make the reference. It has nothing to do with disciplinary or having done anything untoward, unrelated. So was it done in rush or was it, I don't know. I can't say there's no basis. They know the reasons why they did what they did and they can best answer it. I am saying that there's a presumption in the public against me that I've done something untoward about the party, and then the party constitution has been contravened. And that is why I, as a lawyer of 23 years standing, I'm here to prefer my rebuttal to all those presumptions made against me. But there's nobody here sitting. I'll just wait.
Your General Secretary yesterday said that they're postponing this meeting to focus on the alleged drug trafficking that is currently flying in the country. Are you satisfied? They said that is yes. He said it on City on Channel 1 TV yesterday that is the reason. They feel that is a more important subject to Ghanaians than you appearing before the committee. That is why it has been postponed. Satisfied?
I haven't heard, and I wouldn't take hearsay for anything, and I don't expect my General Secretary to say that, and I don't think he really said that. If he did, then he owes himself an explanation. But other than that, this really doesn't sit well with Ghanaians because the party is doing its own thing, and this is a national issue. So if you think that there's an internal party issue that needs to be settled before a disciplinary committee, why do you just say, is the disciplinary committee alone the whole NPP party? And so if there's a cocaine saga, everything might come to a standstill because what? I would take some of the media space. Probably, maybe they think I'm that popular, but I don't know.
So that's the interaction the former Dom Kobenya MP Sarah Adwoa Safo had with my colleague Kenneth Jesse. Now, whereas Adwoa Safo might have deemed a suspended disciplinary committee appearance very important, the party thinks otherwise. Late last night, the MPP General Secretary Justin Kojo said the decision to postpone the meeting, which was planned for today, was due to the magnitude of the alleged drug trafficking scandal. Justin Kojo indicated the party is now focused on questioning government on that particular matter instead of engaging in internal party politics where Adwoa Safo is involved.
It's not going to be a discussion on whether or not Honorable Adwoa Safo is going to appear before a disciplinary committee or not. But however, what the party is going to discuss is the running issue with respect to the alleged drug trafficking in our country. The rank and file of our party have expressed its disappointment and the worrying behavior of this government and the several questions, mind-boggling questions that we are expecting the government to explain to the good people of Ghana, and also the inconsistency in its attempt to sweep under the carpet several issues that concern or surround the alleged drug trafficking in our airport. Those are the issues that the party is going to discuss tomorrow. Well, because as I indicated to you, currently what is important to the people of Ghana and to our party is a running issue on the alleged drug trafficking in our country, which I believe is of utmost concern to you as a responsible Ghanaian. But between that issue and internal issue concerning MPP, which one will you be more interested in? So I think that is what we should discuss, and that is the issue that our party people want to discuss. And there are several questions that, as I indicated, you want the government to answer. They shouldn't even try to divert the attention with Adwoa Safo's issue. That's not our priority. Our priority is the running issue. Ghanaians want to find out from the president and his government the inconsistency in their attempt to explain themselves. And as a party, we are very surprised that at this point in time, when these issues has become a major topic for us as a country and bringing international embarrassment to the country, we are yet to hear an official communication from any of the security agencies in the country. Is it not surprising? Is it not worrying? And those are the issues that the New Patriotic Party want to talk about. And these are the things that we want to hear from the NDC, no issue about Honorable Adwoa Safo.
That's still top story. Let's bring in the Deputy General Secretary of the MPP, Haruna Mohammed, who is joining us via the phone now. I'm grateful to you, Haruna, for joining us. Now, didn't your party know that there was the alleged drug trafficking issue when you were writing to invite Adwoa Safo to this particular meeting?
Kojo, good evening to your listeners and other viewers who are following on Facebook. If you have heard the General Secretary's interview well, the General Secretary said that the party's interest at the moment that they will be discussing is about the cocaine and other scandals that has emanated from the governance of these NDC administrations. When he said the party, he never said the committee. The party leadership, none of the party leadership is in the committee. The committee is a standing committee of National Council. And the committee is an independent body of the party's management. So if the General Secretary is saying that the party will sit down to discuss matters that concerns the people of Ghana at the moment, everybody knows that the General Secretary is not a member of the Disciplinary Committee. So that should be put in perspective. So he was saying that the matter to discuss, what he would want to talk about on the platform, is basically to speak about the drug issue, the flight issues, and other scandals that has befallen on this country that has an international embarrassment, but not speaking for the committee, which has its own secretary and leadership, which is not the party. It is a function of the party, but not the party.
But so if that is the case, that none of the leadership is in that committee, why then was she told today when she got to the office for that hearing that the hearing was not coming off?
Well, again, it is not the decision of leadership of the party that informed Honorable Adwoa Safo that the meeting will not be coming on. The committee has their way of invitation. And the committee, after receiving the referral from the General Secretary, who was the complainant in that matter, sat as a committee and invited or set out a date based on a prior communication with Honorable Adwoa and set out the date for the hearing. So the committee again communicated to Honorable Adwoa Safo yesterday. The committee communicated. They sent this via electronically to him, and then an electronic confirmation of his lawyer who confirmed receipt of this particular postponement. So we never expected to see Honorable Adwoa Safo in the office because the committee had informed the National Party headquarters and nobody had made a preparation for their sitting. Because when we know of their sitting, there is an arrangement that is made for the sitting, which include electronic arrangements for them, for the purposes of if there's going to be any recordings. So this information was communicated to her, and I am telling you on authority, of which I received her at the headquarters, because we heard noise. The General Secretary asked me to leave a certain meeting, and I went out, and it was Honorable Adwoa Safo. I went in the company of one person. We went into her car to remind her of the information we have at the headquarters based on a letter that the committee had issued. So she said she did not see it. I made a referral to her that it was sent to her, it was sent to the lawyer, and it was sent to the aide. So she said she did not see it. I said, well, the essence of the message or the letter was to inform you of non-sitting in the postponement of the committee sitting. So you have duly been informed by me as we have the information. So she said, okay, well, she would come up. And when she came up, I received her again, and we had briefing because as a senior member of the party, I received her. We had other conversations, and she left. And I told her that the committee will get back to her.
So
the next meeting.
And which is when?
The committee will get back to, because I'm not a member of the committee. So the committee will get back to her the same way they got to her and she came. They will get back to her and get another date for the sitting.
You said you sent that letter to her.
Yeah, the letter was sent to her by the messenger. The one who sent the message on behalf of the committee was sent to her and was sent to her lawyer, which I saw the electronic confirmation of her lawyer of receiving it from the messenger.
Did you get the same confirmation from Sarah Adwoa Safo herself?
She said she told me personally that she did not receive. But I pointed to her that her lawyer and the aide had received. I couldn't have forced her to say she has received, but that was what she said. So, but the essence of the letter was that the committee had postponed the sitting. For which reason, I don't know. But the communication was sent. And I saw electronic confirmation by the lawyer who received her notification for the postponement. But she said she did not. So once I am not a member of the committee, my is to again formally inform her and also to revert back to the committee to use other channels to get to her, or the same channel as they used to get her to get the date set for today. So the committee at the appropriate time will talk to her and get another date for the sitting.
Stay with me. Let me bring in Dr. Kwame Asante. And he is senior lecturer, political science department, University of Ghana. Doc, I'm grateful to you for joining. Now, from where you sit, what do you make of this development in the MPP, especially in the Dom Kwabenya constituency?
Thank you, Kojo, for the opportunity, and good evening to my good friend, the Deputy General Secretary. I think something doesn't add up relative to the communication between Madam Adwoa Safo and then the committee that is supposed to that she is supposed to appear before. Because if you listen to what the Deputy General Secretary is saying, it's something different from what I gleaned from the responses of Madam Adwoa Safo this afternoon on your network. So I think you journalists must go in and find out from her lawyer whether he did receive the information, and if he did, was it communicated, same was communicated to Madam Adwoa Safo, and if that was the case, why did he also decide to go to the office, for which reason he had to be communicated to by the Deputy General Secretary and all that.
That aside, if you look at the development, I am not happy with the statement from the General Secretary, who said that they were more interested in the alleged cocaine story and all that. That is important. There's no doubt about that. But this is also equally important. And the public has the right to know what happens within the political space which the state has created for all of us. So we also want to understand what is happening. So if he gives an explanation that is more of a concern to them, we also, this one is equally of importance to us, whilst we also want to see the logical conclusion of the cocaine story by the party, the individual who is alleging, being able to provide the necessary information for us to get to the bottom of this matter.
But if you look at the party's, attempt to win back the Dom Kwabenya MP, it failed in 2024, but it wants to regain it in 2028. If you look at that target and what is happening to the former MP, who, if you listen to the narrations from the constituency, still carries a large chunk of the support of the party in the constituency. Is the party handling this particular matter well? And how best can they deal with it so that it doesn't impact them negatively, or they could then derive the expected returns that they are looking out for in the future?
I think the best thing is to allow the committee to do its work. And whatever comes out, we get to know. Because whatever comes out, if it is not handled properly, definitely will have an impact on the voter choices in that area. But let us remember that no individual owns that constituency, and that it depends on a number of factors that influence voter choices. So it is incumbent upon the party to do the needful to maintain their base and try to win more souls so as to regain the seats. Anything that will ruffle the feathers of the people there will obviously militate against their party fortunes. And I'm sure the party is not in that position to accept that type of proposal from any quarters. So for me, I rest in the hope that the committee will do its work and do it genuinely. And at the end of the day, whatever comes out will be satisfactory to right-thinking people. And that will, calm all nerves in that constituency. Already, the waters are very muddy there, and I'm not sure the MPP want to further muddy the waters.
But if you look at the accusations and counter-accusations and reactions that are involved in this particular matter, do you foresee some unity between the parties at the end of the process, if you listen to the parties involved in this matter closely?
Oh, definitely. Political parties are human organizations. There are bound to be disagreements. But at the end of the day, they find common place and sit down and then iron out their differences. Look at how the tempers were high, particularly on the part of Madam Adwoa Safo. And then the party at the 11th hour sent a message to her, and she respected the decision. It tells you that in spite of the differences, they can still sit down as members of a political party to discuss their grievances and then find a common ground. That can be done. But is it the case that the party want to do? That is $1 million question. Because you see, some of these things are born out of some of the problems that the party have over the years glossed over in terms of conflict resolution mechanisms that have not been able to address those issues head on. I'm sure it's a learning curve for the party to look at it and right all the wrongs so as to build a formidable force to serve as a counter to the ruling government.
But could it also be a political strategy? You can better help us understand that her lawyer was informed. We are told by the Deputy General Secretary that she herself was informed as well as her PA. Could it be a strategy that even though I'm aware, I'll pretend I didn't, I'll take supporters there to help me make my case? That I am probably
we are talking
the one
about
for the constituency.
Madam Adwoa Safo. Any right-thinking person knows that she's a woman of substance, a lawyer, and a very respectable human being that will not go on that route. But I will not also judge completely because I'm not seized with the facts, the total facts of the issue. And for that, I will say that whatever it is, I think I am looking forward to the committee sitting. And then at the end of the day, Adwoa will go there and then tell her story. The party will also listen, and then whatever comes out, comes out. That is the basis by which they can, address this problem. If it is not addressed properly, it will have something negative for the fortunes of the party. There's no doubt about that. But I'm sure that the party is not in for that type of business.
But also, if you listen to the Deputy General Secretary, who I spoke to earlier before you, and he is still with us on the line, that, I mean, if you, and not him, but if you listen to the General Secretary himself, that the fact is, if you look at the raging issue now, and if you compare that to Adwoa Safo, you ask yourself, which of them is of importance to Ghanaians? And he thinks that it is the alleged drug trafficking. Won't you give it to him for that because that is there, we cannot divert attention, and you're looking at political strategy as well. You cannot divert it by using our own internal matters to do that.
Oh, but that strategy is for them. But we, the public, also are entitled to know what happens relative to what Adwoa is saying. Remember, Madam has said a lot of things to the extent that he accused the party having used their power to run down his father's business. Love said a whole lot of accusations that the party need to respond to and respond to very well. Otherwise, people like us who look at the party from outside will say, hey, is that the kind of people you have within the party and all that? At this level, they are all allegations. So the party will have to sit down, get into it, deal with all the issues he raised for us to know what really happens. But having once we are doing that, nothing prevents the party to also look elsewhere into things that affect the state. Are we saying that if there are two issues confronting the country, we will show one under the carpet and then deal with one simply because one is more of prominence or importance to the state? The two are equal in terms of what they are relevance to the society. And the public has the right to know.
I'm grateful to you. Let me conclude with Haruna Mohammed. Haruna, so what's the way forward for the MPP and Sarah Adwoa Safo?
The way forward will be that the committee will have their meeting, and then when they determine the next date for the meeting, they will invite Honorable Adwoa Safo. But with respect to, I still repeat, with respect to my boss' decision, what he said was relative to the discussion that was happening on radio at that point in time. He said that he cannot just be discussing Adwoa Safo invitation or postponement. He would rather be discussing what is being discussed now and leave out that matter on radio discussion. So it was not that he's sweeping it under the carpet, but at that material moment, the most topic to be discussed, even discussing the postponement, was so much immaterial on radio because it has to be in person directly with the affected person, but not to publicize. So for him, the much content to be publicized was to discuss the scandals that has befallen on this government. And I think that was on the basis of that the General Secretary made the statement that he made relative to which particular topic to discuss at which time. So Honorable Adwoa Safo is a member of the party, is a senior member, we respect her, and nothing untoward is going to be done to disrespect her. Again, when you are invited to the disciplinary committee, it is not just that when you are invited to the disciplinary committee, you are invited to be punished.
Okay.
You can be invited to the disciplinary committee to be cautioned.
Okay.
You can be invited to the disciplinary committee
I'm grateful.
to be corrected. So
Okay.
it is not only about punishment, but a lot of other things goes in within.
Haruna Mohammed is Deputy General Secretary of the NPP, and this has been Top Story, brought to you always by Telecel and Holy Insecticide Spray and Coil. Up next is Newsnight.
In the next 60 minutes here on Newsnight, Chief Justice meets 10-day deadline imposed by the President for her to submit her response to 3 petitions for her removal. We have the latest as the President prepares to consult with the Council of State to establish the preliminary merit of the petitions that may lead to the suspension of the Chief Justice. We have details for you on that also. Tonight, fresh details emerge into Saipaman counterfeit money-making syndicate bust as national security reveals sealed boxes belonged to the BOG, and some of which contain fake CDs and dollars were found in 10 containers with gold-plated bars.
When we print money from outside Ghana, they come in these boxes, and they are found here. How come? And we brought the Bank of Ghana officials here, and they admitted these are their boxes.
Okay.
And I see this RMD. It means it has been certified.
Meanwhile, national security is vowing to apprehend the elusive kingpin behind the syndicate.
So until I get the campaign, I cannot open them. And that's what I'm looking for. So we have evidence linking them to this case. And you see the dollars, the fake dollars too.
And Lands and Natural Resources Minister Emmanuel Amakofibwa says there is no evidence about the existence of some 200 drones purchased by the Akufo-Addo government in 2018 to fight galamsey.
I have not seen the drones since I became a minister, and I don't know exactly where they are. Maybe Mr. Isi will tell me where they are.
And I will tell you why the MPP is accusing President Mahama's government of attempting to cover up alleged drug trafficking in Ghana.
Several mind-boggling questions that we are expecting the government to explain to the good people of Ghana. Several issues that surround the alleged drug trafficking in our airport.
In business, government to engage relevant stakeholders to establish full impact of U.S. import tariff on Ghana's economy.
And in sports, GOC president warns of imminent collapse of Botiman Sports Complex if current neglect continues.
And I will take your views and comments here on the Newsnight. 055-111-1997. Details after this.
Brush your teeth every day and night. Up and down and all around. Brush it clean and bright. Brush your teeth. Brush with mom and dad. Underneath and in between. Brush the germs away.
Pepsodent, cavity protection.
For 10 times stronger.
This advert is FDA approved.
Couldn't sleep at night. Mosquitoes will be whining my ears. Bugging me all night long. Till I got a remedy. Now I'll be spraying them away with holy insecticide spray. Me I go spray them away with holy insecticide spray. When I sleep, me die now my God with holy insecticide spray.
Holy mosquito coil, holy multi-purpose insecticide spray. Ghana Kron Kron. For bulk purchase, call 0302-681582. This advert is FDA approved.
Where do your hopes and dreams take flight? The money you've earned, the future shining bright. At Petra, we're not just here for your retirement plan. We are here for the life you've imagined and then some. From your child's education to your dream home's door, we'll help you achieve what you're striving for. Petra is here, steady and strong. Your wealth in safe hands, where it belongs. With investments that grow at rates that compete, we build your future with every heartbeat. That's Petra, your partner. Come joy or strife, guiding you toward the dreams that define your life. For your pensions, investments, loans, and more, visit our website at petraonline.com or dial *447 *70#. Petra, achieve more.
Papa no no, 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 Ankasa. Polytank is everywhere, durable and authentic. Stronger brand you can trust. Polytank, we get some more Rambo and get some more super. And the Polytank, we did. Polytank, papa no no, papa no no, papa.
always the best.
You're live here on Newsnight. It is on Joy 99.7 FM. And we start tonight with that deadline that was issued by the president to the chief of staff for her to submit her response to 3 petitions seeking to remove her. My presidential correspondent is joining me in the studio right now with the very latest. And Maxwell, we are learning tonight that the Chief Justice, she's met that deadline, a 10-day deadline.
Exactly. She's met that 10-day deadline, and the presidency has actually acknowledged receipt of her response concerning the petitions, forwarded to her. Additional information, the presidency is not willing to provide. Our sources at the presidency are all tight-lipped, on the matter. It's quite as difficult as the camel will go through the eye of the needle. Today there was an event at the presidency, a guard-changing ceremony, and we're hoping, to get additional information on this particular matter, because in the morning, sometime last week, the presidency has a newsletter, and it communicated that the Chief Justice, that deadline would be next week. So a lot of the presidential correspondents had in mind that the day was today. So many came there today, on the ground today, with the hope that they will be able to, take some information from their own sources and put out stories, about it. But a lot of the people who we're dealing with were quite tight-lipped, on the matter. It was just some hours ago that we received confirmation that indeed the presidency has acknowledged, receipts of the response of the, Chief Justice. But we know that before we got to the stage, there was some back and forth, between the presidency.
Well, the Chief Justice had complained publicly. Well, not publicly. She had written a letter to the presidency.
Yeah.
That was leaked to the press.
Exactly.
And the presidency,
yeah.
to be very specific, the president himself was unhappy.
Yeah.
In fact, he says was disappointed.
Exactly. So the Chief Justice, 2 days after the presidency communicated that it had forwarded those 3 petitions to the Council of State, 2 days after that, the Chief Justice, on the 27th of March, wrote a letter to the presidency complaining that, the rules of natural justice requires that she's heard, first before those petitions are forwarded, to the Council of State. And then the president also, came back through a letter from his executive secretary, also came back to say that no, that those petitions were actually first forwarded to the chairman of the Council of State, Adwoa, to get his response first. Then after that, we would forward those petitions, to you. So the concerns that you were raising were already in motion. They were already in motion with serving you with those, petitions. So.
And subsequently, he was giving those 3 petitions.
Exactly.
Presumably, based on those 3 petitions that she now had in her custody, she's now sent in her responses to those 3.
Yeah.
The next key question then becomes, we know this, the president must consult with the Council of State.
Exactly.
Do you have any clarity on whether that process has started now that they have the full complement of the petitions and the Chief Justice's response?
From people we've been speaking to at the presidency, one key figure we spoke to told us that it seems that process is currently underway. That consultation process, is underway. Another person who we spoke to was not too certain if that process had already started, because that source was not sure if the response to the petition was actually submitted today. If it was submitted by the close of business today, then it means that probably it's going to start tomorrow. That process is going to kickstart, tomorrow. So we do not have proper confirmation on whether that consultation process, has started, already. But we know that when this happens and the response of the Chief Justice is forwarded, to the Council of State, they're going to look at it. If a prima facie case, it's established, then if a prima facie case is not established, the petitions will be dismissed. But if a prima facie case is established, then they'll go ahead to set up the 5-member committee that would sit on the case and then hear the Chief Justice, on the matter.
And that is the next big question.
Exactly.
Maxwell, thank you very much confirming tonight that the Chief Justice has indeed submitted her response to the 3 petitions seeking to remove her. I want to bring in Martin Kbebu. He is a lawyer, joins us on the line right now. Martin, so the president now has the Chief Justice's response. She complained that she was not served, and she invoked the law of natural justice. The president complied. Now she's sent in a response. What next?
So let's also make the point before she complained about natural justice. But we don't also have any evidence that any decision was going to be taken against her before she complained. I think the complaint here is she would just ask for a copy, but it's actually preposterous to think that the president was going to take a decision, make a prima facie determination without giving her a hearing. No, not in Ghana today. We've really advanced. We've gone far ahead of what happened when Charlotte Osei's matter came, and then Charlotte Osei wrote to the president, Akufo-Addo, and Eugene Ahin wrote all those unsavory things. We've shown that we've grown as a people. Anyway, okay. So now what next? The president is going to look at the petition, consider it in consultation with the Council of State. So maybe they will give him advice, which advice, if once is good, he will take it, right? And also let's note that in the J2, the Attorney General, the Supreme Court said the Council of State should also even get advice from an independent, reputable lawyer. Yes, so this to make sure that the advice coming from the Council of State itself will be great advice. So as a media, you guys should be probing, you should be finding out, is the Council of State going to get that great independent legal mind? Yeah, and that's very, very important because it will lend a lot of credibility to the process, right? So once the president receives their advice, then he would make the determination. So that's to say he will look at the allegations in the petition, look at the Chief Justice's response, then look at the advice of the Council of State, and then give his opinion. Naturally, the president will be aided by his legal counsel. You remember that even when President Akufo-Addo did the petition on the response to or the ruling on the petition presented by Professor Kweku Asare, and Okujeto came out, the lawyer Okujeto, he said he wrote the opinion. He said he did it. It was a bit curious. We'll leave that for now. But the President's Council will aid him to write out an opinion, and that would be to say whether there's a prima facie case. In simple terms, whether the allegations are very weighty and the response of the Chief Justice do not make nonsense of those allegations. As soon as the President finds that these responses from the Chief Justice do not make nonsense of the allegations, then a prima facie case is being made.
And once that happens, once the president makes that determination on the advice of the Council of State, the Constitution says he can do a few things. One of yours, he set up that committee to begin the probe. But most importantly, the president can suspend the CJ, can he not?
Yes, he can suspend the Chief Justice. That is in Article 146, Clause 11. And curiously, you see, when Chief Justice Tokonu was being interviewed, being vetted for this is one of the things he mentioned, that the president should not have a role in the discipline of judges. This removal, these proceedings, Article 146.
You agree with that?
Oh, absolutely, I agree. So in the new constitution, we'll be looking forward to that amendment. And so for Kufu, who is on the Council of State, has also made it clear that in the new constitution, a president should not be appointing a Chief Justice and justices of the Superior Court. We want true independence for the judiciary. And I'm hoping that that kind of thinking that's already in a lot of us would influence the current petition that we have. So as the president is going through it, I'm sure in his mind he'll be looking to see how they can give the judiciary independence. So the petition has to really be a great one to pass through the prima facie.
And the subject of the suspension, it's a reasonable one, is it not? I mean, she's a CJ. She still would empanel the judges of the Supreme Court whilst she's been investigating on certain weightier matters. I mean, the thinking there, just like in any other state agency where people are interdicted, is that you step aside so you have no influence on the process itself or compromising the process. And if you were deemed to have not done anything, of course you come back and serve. It appears to me it's a very reasonable provision in the Constitution that the president obviously has the mandate to enact, to enforce.
Well, on paper, even on paper, right now it doesn't look progressive, because it means that the judiciary is being made subservient to the executive. That's how come we are all rooting for a change in the new constitution. But right now we are saddled with this one. You see, the fact that the head of the executive can remove the head of the judiciary, a co-equal arm of government, certainly doesn't speak well for separation of powers. But unfortunately, this is what we have now. And like I stated earlier, we're hoping that once we're looking to move our nation forward, the fact that this doesn't look great would influence how the decision itself is taken. So that, let me speak bluntly, meaning that if the allegations are not that weighty, then they shouldn't pass. But if they are weighty, things that would scandalize us if we heard them, or then by all means, they should pass.
And then the question about how long this consultation process should take, it's not specified in the Constitution. In the Ejechum case, was there any prescription as to how long this should take?
Great question. Yeah, so in the Ejechum case, the justices stated that the Rules of Court Committee, they should come out with new rules on this. Yes, and the rules should have put out the, timelines. And you see the OSP Act. Yeah, in the OSP Act, there are timelines. So I think those ones indirectly influence the time that was given to the Chief Justice to respond. You see, she even asked for 7 days, and the President made it 10 days. So in French, I hope that in the following processes, maybe they'll be looking at the OSP Act and taking inspiration. Yes, and you also, Evans, you asked one question about empaneling the justices of the Supreme Court to consider or determine the application on Wednesday. You see, just as I've said that we are hoping that the President will give more room for, we call it margin of error, that discretion. In the same way, it would be great if the Chief Justice didn't do the empaneling herself. Yes, we know that there are 1,001 cases that say that it's the Chief Justice's duty to empanel justices.
But she also has a discretion to recuse herself.
Excellent. I think it would be great. If she stepped away from empaneling, I think it would equally also influence the President in how the subsequent processes would unfold, because the President will also look to be more magnanimous in the things that he would do going forward with this.
And quickly, in the interest of time, those cases before the Supreme Court now that will be heard on Wednesday, they are moot now, are they not?
No, they're not. It's a part of it. You are right. That part will be moot. On the matter of she should be given a copy of the petition, yes, that's moot because she's been given, right? But on the matter of saying that any time a petition is brought, the Chief Justice should be given a copy before the Council of State is given a copy, that one, it can recur in future. So our jurisprudence shows that anything that can recur in future, the court will go ahead and deal with it once and for all.
And you're expecting that on Wednesday, at least after it's heard, the Supreme Court will be very clear on this particular subject?
Maybe. It's also possible they will not finish on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yes, most likely. They can't finish Wednesday.
Okay. Thank you very much, Nkebu. And so that's one of the key stories we are following for you tonight. If you're joining us, the Chief Justice has met that 10-day deadline, has submitted her response to the 3 petitions seeking to remove her. Now, the President will proceed to consult with the Council of State and establish whether a prima facie case has been made, whether indeed there is any preliminary merit in the 3 cases. If that is established, he will set up the committee, and he also has the power to suspend the Chief Justice while the investigations continue. I want to hear your thoughts on this tonight. Also tonight, we're learning hearing from the Bank of Ghana, a bit more details now beginning to emerge after National Security discovered genuine money boxes belonging to the central bank at the heart of a massive counterfeiting bust at Sapema. Now, the boxes were found among 10 20-footer containers packed with fake Ghana cedis, US dollar bundles, and gold-plated bars. And Director of Special Operations at the National Security Secretariat, Richard Jakpa, described the evidence as overwhelming and revealed it has been left untouched to preserve its integrity. We'll be telling you pretty shortly what we're learning from our sources at the BOG, but my colleague Papani Ashali joins me right now with a bit more on this particular find. Papa, let's trace this back a bit. When this bust first happened, it was a major national news. It sort of had died off a bit until very recently when this latest discovery was made public again. How far has this traveled?
As far back as February 9, that's when this first was reported to the public that they had made this particular bust at Sapema. At that time, what they only told us about was the unspecified amount of US and Ghana cedis that they suspected at the time to be counterfeit. Some of those have now been confirmed. By that time, there was no mention of any boxes that they had seen. They only said they had found them in just regular boxes that they saw or they thought contained counterfeit at the time. Now, in all of this, we didn't hear anything about BOG or individuals. The only name that was mentioned at the time was one Alaji that we haven't heard from again.
Okay, and now we're hearing about the BOG boxes?
Yes, Evan. So at the point during this tour of with Jakpa, at this scene, he pointed at some wooden boxes and said they were Bank of Ghana boxes. On these boxes, though, Evans, there were no tags that I saw that say this is from the Bank of Ghana. However, they had inscriptions which looks like a serial number. There was one C28703 on one box, and another box it had A40635 on the cover, and then on the side it says A40785. These are two different numbers on the same box. Now, on the same side that this A40785 was written, you find a handwritten RMD with sort of a black writing. Now, from all of this is when we heard from Jakpa, who was explaining how he comes to the conclusion that this is from the Bank of Ghana. We can listen.
So this is some of the boxes. They've already emptied. And this is the reason why I'm serious about it. This one, I brought this from Bank of Ghana. These are Bank of Ghana boxes where they use important monies. When we print money from outside Ghana, they come in these boxes. And they are found here. Wow. And we brought the Bank of Ghana officials here. And they admitted these are their boxes. Okay. And I see this RMD. It means it has been certified that the man that came was genuine, intact, by Bank of Ghana. And this is their own certification. And when I asked them, say yes, it's from their office. They wrote this. And I said, so what are your boxes doing in this place? What was their response? They couldn't answer. So you see these boxes. These are from Bank of Ghana. You see? And come and see more of the Bank of Ghana boxes. You see them inside there? A lot. We have not touched them. So we don't even know what is inside here. We are going to get a campaign. Who knows what is what we are going to find in those Bank of Ghana boxes? These are Bank of Ghana boxes. A lot are packed to the back there. So until I get a campaign, I cannot open them. And that's what we are looking for the campaign.
What about what was suspected at the time to be counterfeit cash that had also been found there?
Well, Evans, I should mention that you'd see evidently 100 and 200 cedis notes, but these were in a chain, not separate, not one that you can just remove them one by one. And there were also bundles of $100 bills, some of them strapped. There were gold-plated bars, we were also told. You would even see that the coating was already peeling away. Now, instructively, Richard Jakpa said most of the boxes had not been opened for a reason that he says they are leaving that as evidence for the supposed Alaji, who is supposed to be the ringleader of this syndicate, to come and confirm. So he'll be there, then they'll open. We can listen to Jakpa explaining why they will now wait for Alaji to come before they open them.
How did they we want to get a campaign himself to be here before we open them. And that's why the place under 24-hour guard. And we are trying to track down the campaign. We have not touched them. So we don't even know what is inside here. We are going to get a campaign. Who knows what we are going to find in those Bank of Ghana boxes? These are Bank of Ghana boxes. A lot are packed to the back there. So until I get a campaign, I cannot open them. And that's what we are looking for the campaign. We are very professional about our work. And we want to make sure that the evidence will be admissible in court. So we don't want to tamper with them. We want to wait and get a campaign and bring them here. Because we have evidence linking them to this place. And you see the dollars, the fake dollars too. They're all packed here. Now, if I come to you and give you this bundle, will you tell me that unless you have a machine to check?
Well, Joy Business Editor George Afe is with me in the studio. And George, you've been working your sources at the BOG. What more have you learned?
So, Evans, we understand that basically, indeed, these boxes are used by the bank when it comes to importing currency into the country. And it comes in these boxes, and the Bank of Ghana gets these currencies in these boxes. And basically, they are actually transferred to these commercial banks in these boxes. Now, when these commercial banks have been able to, use the money or get the money out of these boxes, we understand that there have been several instances where these boxes have found their way onto the market because of the durability of it. Some people actually use it for their personal use at homes. And even if you go to the market around the Bank of Ghana in the high street and all the rest, you realize that there are even some market women who actually plead for these boxes to use it. So what we understand the Bank of Ghana is trying to establish that, yes, of course, it is true that you can have these boxes out on the market, but they cannot in any way be linked directly to the Bank of Ghana actually giving it to people because there were currency inside. They believe that if indeed is established of any criminal use of these boxes, government should deploy the various security agencies to go after these individuals. But the fact that these boxes are often found their way onto the market when the Bank of Ghana has finished maybe taking that currency out of these boxes, that one is nothing new. And you've had several instances where individuals have actually found a way using these boxes. If these criminals or people out there have been able to get hold of these boxes and they are using it for other means, it shouldn't be directly linked to the Bank of Ghana that these were currencies coming from the Bank of Ghana onto the market.
And that is an important point because these boxes although had the seal of the BOG on it, the BOG is explaining to you that once they empty those boxes, these boxes prior to where they found it may have had genuine Ghana cedi notes in them, but anybody could after it has been disposed.
No, but that is when these boxes get onto the market empty and not having notes that are said to be original currencies from the Bank of Ghana. And because of these boxes are said to be durable and basically best international practice, most countries they use these boxes. Often people plead for these boxes, just like having carts that are used for boxes for other products. And if you go to some of these factories, you realize that there are people who always queue to try and get these boxes. And that is why these boxes have found their way onto the market. But it shouldn't be linked that directly to the Bank of Ghana or some operatives inside have been able to ship currencies outside the Bank of Ghana onto the market without it going through the proper channels to give these monies out to these commercial banks.
Joe, thank you very much. And you can find more on myjoyonline.com and across our many social media platforms. Now, in a dry Setroduma, say hope runs as dry as a cracked earth beneath farmers' feet here. Desperate for water, smallholder farmers dig into the ground, sometimes with bare hands, praying to strike a muddy miracle. But even when they do, they must share it with livestock, risking their health for every drop. Now, journalist Michael Ashali journeyed to this parched farming community and now reports on the crisis that can no longer be ignored.
As the sun sets over Amaminu, Yakubu leads his family on their daily walk to a stream bed. With hoes in hand and hope in their hearts, they dig into the cracked earth, searching for water. The sound of metal striking the ground fills the air. But the effort yields nothing, just mud and despair. We have relied on this water source for years. During the dry season, it dries up completely, forcing us to dig with a hoe until water slowly seeps through. Even that, there is no guarantee. The water isn't just scarce, it's unsafe, tainted by grazing animals. The people, desperate for water, pay the price with their health. Both cattle and pigs come here to drink. But that's not even the worst part. Upstream, waste is dumped directly into the water, making it unsafe for us. Amaminu's water crisis is dire. More than 500 residents spread across scattered settlements rely on these polluted streams. Bawa Kunde is the assemblyman for the area.
The cattle, they will stand inside the water before they drink, so they pollute the water, they dump their feces in the water. One of the sicknesses that they normally complain about is typhoid fever.
Bauer has fought for help, but so far, his efforts have come up short.
I've done a lot about writing into people who can help us. I've done that, but yet we are not getting any response from them.
Today, Yakubu, Bauer and the people of Amaminu leave the dry stream bed behind for good. Thanks to Rotary International and their partners, Amaminu has a borehole and a future.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Randy Fiorini is a farmer from the USA.
What Rotary has done here is provide clean drinking water that will change the lives of generations for this village. And we want to repeat that over and over and again throughout Ghana. Our goal is to eliminate poor drinking water in Ghana.
Each borehole, valued at $9,500, comes with a simple ask: an oath to maintain them. To ensure this, a water management committee was established in the community. For years, Yakubu and his family dug in vain. Today, they simply pump. The water they prayed for has finally arrived. For Joy News, Michael Ashale.
You're still live, your news night is on Joy 99.7 FM. Still ahead, where are the 200 drones purchased by the Akufo-Addo government in 2018 to fight illegal mining?
I have not seen the drones since I became a minister, and I don't know exactly where they are. Maybe Mr. Izzy will tell me where they are.
Details of that and more after business. Hello, George.
Well, hi, Evans. And coming up, we'll be hearing more of government actually arguing that they will be engaging more stakeholders to get some deeper understanding about the impact of these tariff hikes on the Ghanaian economy. Getting more details on that one. And also be hearing from Parliament that is promising to enforce laws aimed at checking overruns after approving that 290 billion Ghana cedis in appropriation for this government to spend for this year. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, Sintas Thanks, and President, Herbal and Charcoal.
Hey, so as for you, every day you are just pressing your phone. Why? Are they paying you?
They are, Oma. The more I use my MTN, the more points I get. And I can use those points to get airtime, data, and even discounts at shops and restaurants.
Hey, so that is why all of you are always pressing your phones. And you won't tell us, so that we too we can enjoy some.
Oh, ma.
There's always more to enjoy with MTN Rewards. Just keep talking, testing, and browsing all day, every day to collect your points and use it to redeem amazing offers and discounted freebies right away. There's so much available for you. So dial *550# and get your reward today. Let's go. Everywhere you go.
Kweku, have you heard what they are doing on MTN?
Son, we are so proud of you for setting up this hospital. I really love those hospital beds and waiting chairs. By the way, did you import them?
No, Dad, I didn't. I actually got them from Kingdom Books and Stationery right here in Ghana.
Wow. We also bought our office supplies, safes, executive desks and chairs from Kingdom, and they gave us expert advice on how to set up our office.
Guys, that makes 3 of us. I also got our sofa and bedroom sets, plus our dining hall furniture for our new home from Kingdom.
Wow, Mom, that makes 4 of us. I usually get my stationery items from Kingdom, and
my teacher also mentioned that our classroom furniture was provided by Kingdom.
So there you have it. Whenever you're thinking about setting up an office or acquiring furniture for your home, etc., Kingdom Books and Stationery should be your first point of call. With over 40 years experience in the industry, we stock and supply a wide variety of globally sourced office and home furniture, stationery and equipment. Visit our head office, Osu Akwaje, or our office near the Osu Stadium. We're also in Tema Community 1, opposite Olam SHF, Kumasi KNUST Campus, UCC Cape Coast, and now at the Marina Mall, Airport City. Or call us 0302 764101, 764209, or 762792. Visit our website www.kingdomgh.com.
MNC Group is a leading investment holding company with expertise in mineral and food commodities trading, precious metal refinery, real estate development, logistics, and energy. With individually registered companies, our headquarters is located in Accra, Ghana, with our operational offices in Dubai, UAE, Hong Kong, and Guangzhou in China, Johannesburg, South Africa, Virginia, United States of America, and Milan, Italy. We connect business markets and drive growth. Trust us to maximize value in every deal.
Call us on 030-255-1917 or 030-255-1918. Send us an email at mncgroup@mncgroupgh.com.
MNC Group, totally reliant.
Brush your teeth every day and night. Up and down and all around. Brush the clean and bright. Brush your teeth. Brush with mom and dad. Underneath and in between. Brush the germs away.
Pepsodent, cavity protection. This advert is FDA approved.
The Accra Healing and Deliverance Crusade is here.
God takes his people and put them in charge.
Ministering Dr. Pastor Paul and Becky Eninche, all the way from Glory Dome in Abuja, Nigeria. The Dominion, date 10th and 11th of April 2025. Venue, LWAC Sports Stadium. Song ministration, Emoji, Ankalato, Kofi Boham, Prophet Okebe, Prosper Otimana, and Minister Mark Frank. Also happening live is the Workforce and Ministers Conference, happening at the Accra International Conference Center at 9 a.m. on the 11th of April. Free shuttles to the venue will be available. For more information, call 0257 765 546. The Accra Healing and Deliverance Crusade. Be there.
Welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, government has revealed that it is currently engaging relevant stakeholders to help appreciate the full impact of the recent tariff hikes on the Ghanaian economy. There is more in this report.
The revelation by government is coming at a time that there have been several projections that Ghana could be losing millions of dollars as a result of the action by President Donald Trump. The governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Johnson Siama, at a recent Monetary Policy Committee meeting noted that the current global trade war could hurt Ghana's economy if not well managed. The governor maintained that it could come with some shocks for the economy in the area of inflation and stability of the Ghana cedi. The Bank of Ghana has also told Joy Business it is currently putting together its numbers to help quantify the real impact on the economy when it comes to inflation and even the banking sector. One is not clear for now about the timelines here when it comes to government and the stakeholder engagement that is currently undertaken. But it is clear that this action by the US government could impact badly on Ghana's budget and the projected revenue going forward. We also know that majority of Ghana's exports are exempted from the tariff hike because of the Free Trade Pact Adwoa. That initiative should end by close of this year, and there are clear indications that the Trump administration may not extend this Free Trade Pact.
And that is a Business Desk report. Meanwhile, the West African director for the trade policy think tank, that is CAT International, Kojo DeMarco, is insisting that this move by the U.S. government could come with some serious challenges for the economy as well as job losses.
Jobs are going to be affected. In Ghana, we do export goods to the U.S. market. Last year, I was in Koforidua. There's a company, an apparel company that produces garments, contract-based to U.S. brands like Walmart and all the major brands. And these companies are all operated under the Adwoa. Now, Adwoa is the African Growth and Opportunity Act. It is a congressional and act passed by the U.S. Congress. And so as to whether the president can use an executive instrument to restrict Adwoa, I think that thing did not come out clearly. Perhaps maybe we may have to ask the U.S. Embassy to be able to
for
tell
some
us.
clarity.
Yeah, though Adwoa expires this year, and it is up for renewal, and I doubt whether the Trump administration would renew Adwoa.
Kojo DeMarco is the West African director for trade policy think tank, that is CAT International. Now, the Bank of Ghana has stated that it is taking steps to encourage more measures and acquisitions in the specialized deposit-taking sector in the country. The move is part of measures to try and restructure the sector made up of some savings and loans, rural and community banks, and microfinance institutions. Ismail Adams is the acting head of banking supervision at the Bank of Ghana.
The Bank of Ghana has seen the importance of industry-led consolidation for industry-led measures, which is intended to reshape that space of the market, i.e. the SDI sector. So the key message there is that we are looking at how do we bring in equity from strategic investors. And as I said, there are some strategic investors talking to some of these SDIs, and also how to revamp their governance structure such that we have proper governance arrangements around their operations. The other issue is how to deal with the emission drift, i.e. SDIs doing things that was not originally the intended activity for that space.
Ismail Adams is the acting head of banking supervision at the Bank of Ghana. Now, Parliament has given the firm assurance that it would move to enforce the current laws aimed at checking any budget overruns. Now, it follows concerns the country could end the year with another high budget deficit, despite Parliament approving some 290 billion Ghana cedis for government to spend this year. Kojo Nkrumah is the ranking member on Parliament's Committee on Economy and Development.
So, for example, on the Economy Committee side, we will soon start our public hearings, inviting the ministers to come and present what we call their annual performance reports. In those annual performance reports, we will spot any overruns that occurred in the previous years. We will also see your program of activity and your KPIs for this year and how you are spending this year. And if there are any overruns that are showing up, we'll be able to catch them in time and draw your attention to so that we avoid those overruns. The public hearings are very helpful in this area.
And ranking member on Parliament's Committee on Economy and Development, Kojo Nkrumah. And that's all for Business on Newsnight.
Thank you very much, George. We can do sports now, and Krantig is here with the details.
Let's go straight into the stories. And the president of the Ghana Olympic Committee, Ben Mensah, has warned of the potential deterioration of the Botiman Sports Complex if the facility isn't put to use. The complex was completed back in 2023 for the African Games and has since not hosted any major sporting event. Mensah says that must change.
Look, the facility we have in Botima, if we don't take advantage and make sure that at least every 3 months is being used for one tournament or the other, we'll run down quickly. We have national teams who are one of the best in Africa, okay? If we start hosting a lot of African championships here, it prepares our national teams for the big ones.
Mensah has also urged the Sports Minister Kofi Adams to take steps to bid for the hosting rights for the next Commonwealth Youth Games in 2028. According to the GOC president, Ghana has the facilities to pull it off.
As I speak to you now, Ghana can comfortably, without any stress, host the Commonwealth Youth Games. The Commonwealth Youth Games have just about 12 disciplines. Okay, we did African Games, which is about 25 disciplines. We have enough facilities to hold the Commonwealth Youth Games. I would want the minister to be bold enough and say, look, we're going to push for the next Commonwealth Youth Games, which is probably in 2028 or 2030. And Ghana can comfortably, we have the hotels, we have a transport system that works, we have the facilities. You don't need any huge infrastructure to hold the Commonwealth Games, even the main games.
That was GOC President Ben Mensah speaking there. Before we go, the Disciplinary Committee of the Ghana Football Association has charged Brekum Chelsea and Accra Lions for failing to conduct mandatory pre-match interviews ahead of their matchday 26 fixtures. According to the GFA, both clubs did not comply with the requirements for coaches and players to participate in the pre-match media engagement, which is a breach of the association's media regulations. In addition to the two Premier League clubs, 45 other Division 1 clubs have also been charged for the same offence. And that brings an end to sports. Back to you, Evans.
Thank you very much, Granting. I will be sharing your thoughts with the rest of the world pretty shortly via WhatsApp. Send me a message, 055-1111-997. Our government in 2018 spent $3 million on drones to fight illegal mining. 7 years later, Lands and Natural Resources Minister Emmanuel Amakofibwa says he has no evidence yet about the existence of the drones. My colleague, Semefak Basu, has more.
At the Minerals Commission, the Lands and Natural Resources Minister faced questions about the $3 million drone deal approved under the Akufo-Addo-led administration to fight illegal mining. Mr. Emmanuel Amakofibwa did not hold back.
I know that using modern technology is very critical in this work, and I think from here I'm going to see some geofencing activities you guys have done here and see how we can even make it bigger and expand it. Yes, there was reports of drones and other things. We interministerial committee, but I can tell you that it's probably part of the things we are looking at. I have not seen the drones since I became a minister, and I don't know exactly where they are. Maybe Mr. Isi will tell me where they are. But it is part of the many things that we are looking at.
Back in 2018, the Lands Minister, John Peter Amewu, and the Secretary of the Inter-Ministerial Committee, Charles Bissio, confirmed that 200 drones had arrived. But an investigation by the Fourth Estate revealed that none could be accounted for. Now the current minister says there's no trace of these drones anywhere at the ministry. He also addressed concerns about Parliament's move to repeal the law that permits mining in forest reserves.
We have taken the most important step to make sure that the real issue that was the concern of the people of Ghana, how do we ensure that there is no more new licenses issued in forest reserve? And we've taken the heart of that in Act 2462. I am aware of the concerns that has been raised, and as a listening government, I can tell you that the Attorney General, working closely with the Minister for Environment, Science and Technology with our support, are looking at all of that. Exactly what must we do to take the portions which are the reason why the whole act was not repealed, take it up and repackage it. But what is good for the people of Ghana is that we move quickly to make sure we can take out the power of the president to authorize money in new forest reserve, and in 21 days that will become law and nobody will have access to a forest reserve.
And that there is the Lands and Natural Resources Minister speaking at this event. And thankfully, we can speak to the former Lands and Natural Resources Minister who joins us on the line right now, Mr. Bujunapol. Grateful that you could join us on News Night. So the incumbent minister says that he has no evidence that the drones even exist. Do you know where the drones are?
Well, first of all, I'm normally very reluctant to make comments about the work of my successor, especially when he's just settling in. So I'm doing this very reluctantly. And secondly, your producer gave me the impression that the minister is talking about drones that were bought during my tenure, which are unaccounted for, because the handing over notes I gave to the minister did not have any indication of drones being bought. I became minister on 5th March 2021. These drones that are being talked about are drones which were bought in 2018, supposedly bought in 2018 by the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, which was headed by Professor Frimpong Boateng. When I became minister, there was no handing over notes which suggested that drones had been bought. Neither were there any drones handed over to me as minister. So the correct place to direct the inquiries will be the Minerals Commission, which is the repository of all records relating to mining, and therefore they should have records of it, and or the leadership of the Interministerial Committee, Professor Frimpong Boateng and his colleagues.
Under your watch, though, did this matter come up at all? As in,
yes, it came up multiple times, and my response has always been the same. Just as the minister the honourable minister Minister Adwoa is indicating that nothing like that was handed over to me, and I didn't have any record of drones being bought or being handed over. And I was in the same situation as he finds himself now. I was always under the impression that there's a suggestion that drones were bought under my tenure, which he cannot find. And I was going to indicate that nowhere in my handing over notes did I indicate that drones were bought. These drones were supposed to have been bought during the tenure of the Interministerial Committee by Professor Frimpong Boateng. And if there's a place where you should always find records of mining, it should be the Minerals Commission.
From Boateng was your colleague. Minerals Commission, an agency under the Lands and Natural Resources Ministry. Once it came up under your watch, did you query any of these individuals?
I made the queries, I made the inquiries. There was no record of these drones. And I put reports before the relevant authorities and agencies at the time. I mean, this is a very old, this is quite an old story, which we've gone over it over and over again. They just did not exist at the time I became a minister. Were they bought? Were they not bought? How were they handled? All of those can be answered by the Interministerial Committee.
Thank you very much, Abujunapo. That's the immediate past Lands and Natural Resources Minister on the subject of the drones we've been hearing about from the incumbent Natural Resources Minister. Still, as part of the fight against illegal mining. And some of your messages on our WhatsApp console coming through, I'll share that with you pretty shortly, just before we wrap up. But before we do that, though, today, the opposition New Patriotic Party, the NPP, is taking on the John Mahama administration, accusing it of a cover-up relating to allegations of drug trafficking in Ghana. In a statement, the party raised concerns about AirMed flight N823AM and the Covert Air Antonov AN12B, both of which reportedly developed faults while in Ghana, with the minority alleging the flights were part of a plot to use Ghana as a hub for drug trafficking. Listen to the party's General Secretary, Kojo Frimpong.
The rank and file of our party have expressed its disappointment and the worrying behavior of this government, and the several questions, mind-boggling questions that we are expecting the government to explain to the good people of Ghana, and also the inconsistency in its attempt to sweep under the carpet several issues that concern or surround the alleged drug trafficking in our airport. Those are the issues that the party is going to discuss tomorrow. Well, because as I indicated to you, currently what is important to the people of Ghana and to our party is a running issue on the alleged drug trafficking in our country, which I believe is of utmost concern to you as a responsible Ghanaian. And that is the issue that our party people want to discuss. And there are several questions that, as I indicated, we want the government to answer. They shouldn't even try to divert attention. Ghanaians want to find out from the president and his government the inconsistency in their attempt to explain themselves.
Well, he's also expressing shock over the silence of the security service on the development, as well as two major drug trafficking cases, the $350 million cocaine bust in Cape Coast and the $150 million cocaine seizure in Secondary.
And as a party, we are very surprised that at this point in time, when these issues has become a major topic for us as a country and bringing international embarrassment to the country, we are yet to hear an official communication from any of the security agencies in the country. Is it not surprising? Is it not worrying? And those are the issues that the New Patriotic Party want to talk about. And these are the things that we want to hear from the NDC.
And the party is scheduled to do a briefing after a meeting that they say they'll be holding on these matters. And once we get clarity on that, we will bring that to you. A few of your messages on our WhatsApp console now. Musa Abatwa says, Evans, kudos to the national security leaders, Richard Jakpa and Musa Fagbande, for swiftly restoring order at Aurora Apartments after the businessman misusing past. It says, misusing the place for nefarious activities. And this one from Eddie in Kintampo says the Bank of Ghana boxes found after used with public cannot be sent outside Ghana through whatever means for reuse. Now, this has no name. It says President Mahama and the NDC should stop their unjustified attempts to remove the Chief Justice, allowing the CJ to continue offering excellent justice delivery for Ghanaians to live in peace. And Abochi Philip in Keta. Seriously, NDC government pledged to reset Ghana. I'm very glad with the Minister of Road and Highways, Bami Abuja, instructed all contractors to return to the Tema to Flower Road. And that's a story you can find on myjoyonline.com. Enjoy the rest of the evening.